Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Among all the legendary stories and deeds of King David, the one that undoubtedly echoes through the centuries is the iconic confrontation with Goliath, the fearsome Philistine giant. A battle that not only marked the life of the young shepherd anointed to reign, but also shaped the destiny of Israel as a victorious nation over its enemies. But what if I told you that this story was only told halfway? What few know is that Goliath was not the only giant David faced. In fact, he had to confront other colossal warriors descended from the same Nephilim lineage. Among them was a giant who was Goliath's brother, a monstrous being who came very close to killing David. Why were these details omitted from most accounts? What does this story reveal about the presence of giants in ancient times? There is much more behind this narrative than we were taught. If you want to uncover this hidden truth, stay with me in this video. Leave a like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel, because what we're going to reveal here may completely change your view of biblical events and the history of humanity itself. The revenge of Goliath's brother, the story they didn't tell you. Among the many defining moments in David's life, his rise to the throne may be the most surprising. From humble beginnings, he was just a young shepherd from the tribe of Judah, the son of Jesse, a direct descendant of the royal lineage of Judah. However, against all odds, he was chosen by God to become the king of Israel, replacing Saul, whose reign had been compromised by his disobedience and fall from divine favor. David was not only a shepherd, he was also a talented musician and poet whose compositions would be immortalized in the Psalms. But his destiny went far beyond music. He would become not only a king, but the greatest ruler Israel had ever known, a man after God's own heart. His journey was marked by challenges, wars, and victories that shaped the history of the Israelite nation. Among the many battles he faced, none was as emblematic as his confrontation with Goliath. David, then a young man between 15 and 17 years old, without military training, dared to face a warrior feared by all, a Philistine giant who terrorized the armies of Israel. With a sling and 5 stones, he defeated the fearsome Goliath, proving that faith and courage can overcome any obstacle. But who was Goliath, this giant who spread terror among the Israelites? What made him so feared? His enormous height, superhuman strength, and combat skills made him virtually unbeatable. However, his mystery went beyond his brutality. Goliath belonged to an ancient and enigmatic lineage, the Rephaim, a race of giants mentioned in scriptures and historical accounts. What many don't know is that Goliath was not alone. He was just one of many giants that still existed in those times, brothers and relatives who shared the same mysterious origin. From the days of Moses, and even in the times of Abraham, the Rephaim were known for their imposing presence and impact on the battles fought in the Promised Land. Goliath's defeat by David was not just a personal victory, but a milestone in the conflict between the Israelites and these legendary beings, forever changing the course of history. The origin of the giants has always been an enigma, surrounded by mystery and speculation. However, there is a consensus among scholars of the scriptures. These colossal beings likely emerged after the flood, the result of a forbidden union between fallen angels and human women. These celestial entities, known as the B'nai Elohim, descended to earth and took for themselves the daughters of men, creating a hybrid lineage of extraordinary beings, giants who spread terror and domination across the earth. The very term Rephaim carries a dark connotation. In Hebrew and Phoenician, it can be translated as the dead living or ancestral spirits, suggesting that these beings were somehow connected to ancient entities that perished in the flood, but mysteriously reappeared in the post-flood world. Some ancient accounts indicate that these giants were not only brutal warriors, but also possessed advanced knowledge and supernatural abilities, reinforcing the belief that their origin went beyond mere human descent. The Bible makes it clear that Goliath was not an isolated case. He was part of a larger lineage and had brothers who shared the same nefarious origin. After his death at the hands of David, his brothers swore revenge against the young king of Israel. In one of the many battles between the Israelites and the Philistines, one of these giants attempted to exact that revenge, putting David in great danger, an event that nearly cost him his life, if not for the intervention of his loyal warriors. The giants were not mere mercenaries used by the Philistines. Their presence on the battlefield revealed something much deeper. They had strategic alliances with certain peoples of the time, such as the Phoenicians and the Canaanites, who not only accepted them into their ranks, but revered them as deities or superior beings. In many ancient cultures, these colossal figures were worshipped and feared, seen as demigods or descendants of primordial entities. Thus, the conflicts between Israel and these peoples went beyond mere territorial disputes. They were spiritual battles between the chosen people of God and forces of obscure origin, whose roots traced back to pre-flood times. These accounts continue to fascinate scholars and archaeologists who seek evidence of the existence of these giants in ancient history. The scriptures make it clear that the giants not only existed, but played a crucial role in the conflicts between kingdoms and the formation of ancient civilizations. In any case, their presence echoes to this day, fueling debates and mysteries about a forgotten era when extraordinary beings walked the earth. Now I invite you to follow one of the most impactful moments in David's journey, an episode often overlooked, but that highlights not only the weight of the battles he fought, but also the legacy of the giants who continued to threaten Israel. In the book of 2 Samuel 21:15-22, we find the account of a dangerous confrontation involving one of Goliath's descendants. After years of reign and numerous wars, David, now elderly, led another battle against the Philistines. However, this time, something different happened. The king felt the weight of age and war pressing down on him. At the height of the combat, an imposing warrior named Isbi-Benob appeared on the battlefield. He was no ordinary soldier. He belonged to the lineage of the Rephaim, the same as Goliath. With a bronze spear weighing about 13 pounds and wielding a newly forged sword, he saw his chance to avenge his brother and end the life of the king of Israel once and for all. David, exhausted and vulnerable, was at the mercy of death. But it was at this crucial moment that Abishai, son of Zeruiah and David's nephew, intervened. With a precise strike, he brought down Isbi-Benob, saving the king from a fatal fate. In light of this event, David's soldiers made a solemn vow. They would never allow him to return to the battlefield, for he was the lamp of Israel, and his loss would be irreplaceable. However, the threat of the giants had not yet ended. Soon after, a new war against the Philistines broke out, resulting in the death of another giant, Saph. Then another battle took place at Gob, where Elhanan, the son of Jare-Oregim, defeated another formidable warrior, identified as Goliath the Gittite. But there was one more challenge. In another battle fought at Gath, a warrior of impressive stature, who had 6 fingers on each hand and each foot, challenged Israel. However, he was slain by Jonathan, the son of Shimea, David's brother. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath and fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. 2 Samuel 21:22. Thus, we see that the threat of the giants persisted, but one by one, they were defeated. The God of Israel continued to show that it was not the strength of the giants that determined the victory, but the faith and courage of those who trusted in him. These events reveal a surprising fact. Goliath was not an exception in his lineage, and his brothers continued to challenge Israel even after his death. The presence of these giants in the biblical accounts suggests that they represented a persistent threat, and their battles with God's people hold mysteries that remain little explored. Few know the full story of these colossi from antiquity, and there is still much to be uncovered about the 5 brothers of Goliath, their connection with the Rephaim, and the true significance of this lineage in ancient times. Who were these giants? Where did they come from? How did they perpetuate through the ages? If you want to understand more about each of them and the enigmas surrounding their origin, stay tuned. I will soon bring a detailed analysis of this almost forgotten lineage and their battles against Israel. I'm sure you'll be amazed. This narrative, practically erased from popular memory, reveals one of the most dramatic moments in David's life. Many are familiar with his epic victory over Goliath, the Philistine giant who challenged the Israelite army and was struck down by a young shepherd armed only with a sling and 5 smooth stones. But few know that, years later, as king, David faced another giant, a warrior as formidable as Goliath, determined to avenge the death of his brother. His name was Isbi-Benob. Like Goliath, he descended from the lineage of the Rephaim, a people of giants whose existence dates back to ancient times and who, in some way, survived the flood. The Philistines, recognizing the immense strength of these beings, not only recruited them as mercenaries, but also revered them as deities due to their towering stature and superhuman strength. However, Isbi-Benob was not just a warrior hired by the Philistines. This battle was personal. His desire for revenge against David burned fiercely. He wanted to eliminate the man who dared to challenge his race and stain the honor of the giants with Goliath's death. The confrontation took place amid an intense battle between Israel and the Philistines. David was no longer the fearless young man of his earlier years. Years of combat had left deep marks, and on that day, exhaustion made him vulnerable. The weight of age and battles began to take its toll. The king of Israel, fatigued, found himself in real danger of death. It was at this critical moment that Isbi-Benob advanced. His weapon was terrifying, a massive spear with a bronze tip weighing about 13 pounds, capable of piercing any armor with ease. Additionally, he wielded a newly forged sword, made to destroy any enemy that crossed his path. He was no ordinary adversary. Isbi-Benob stood at a colossal height, estimated to be between 9 and 11.5 feet, and his presence was so intimidating that even the bravest soldiers quaked before him. David, determined, fought courageously, but fatigue was taking its toll. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Abishai, son of Zeruiah, intervened. In an act of bravery, he attacked the giant before he could deliver the fatal blow, killing him and saving David from imminent death. This moment marked a great turning point. The soldiers of Israel realized that their king could no longer expose himself directly to danger on the battlefield. In a solemn oath, they declared that they would never allow David to risk his life again, for he was the light of Israel, and his loss would be irreplaceable. Thus, the story of the giants did not end with Goliath. The descendants of this lineage continued to challenge Israel, but the courage and faith of God's people ensured that, one by one, they were defeated. These often forgotten battles reveal not only the power of the giants, but also the strength of a king who, even in his most fragile moments, inspired his warriors to fight until the end. This battle wasn't the last time the giants crossed Israel's path. Goliath's brothers continued to appear, and other descendants of the Rephaim still challenged the Israelites. But on that day, one of the last great giants met his end, and with him, the certainty that the era of the giants was coming to an end. I hope you enjoyed this video, where I shared an interesting fact about the battle involving the giant Isbi-Benob, who was killed by David's nephew Abishai, son of Zeruiah. He came to the king's aid when David was in trouble, and the people swore never to send the king to war again, so the light of Israel, the lamp of Israel, would not go out. Some accounts say that Abishai chased the giant, who was attacking David, and seized the moment to drive a sword into the back of the enemy, killing him. God bless, and see you soon.